Hi everyone, I am so excited because I am speaking with author Lexie Elliott again, and we are talking about her brand new book called The Missing Years, and she has a copy of it. She's going to hold it up so we can look at this beautiful cover, and it's kind of going in and out, but that's okay because I'll put a picture of it for everybody. I love your covers, Lexie. I love your covers. You are so blessed with great covers.
Oh yes, totally. I think the art team at Berkeley are just fantastic, and they've done such a good job in making it distinct, but also when you look at it, it gives you that memory of the French girl. You know, it's of a piece with and by the same author. I think they do that incredibly well.
They really do, and because I was looking at them side by side today, and I was like, wow, they are, like even though it's different colors, you can tell it's you. And
Yeah.
and we talked before when you wrote The French Girl, and I loved that book. And then this one, I was like, I knew I was gonna love it. I mean, and I love your writing style. I love how you bring us into a story, and it was like it's kind of slow, but then it leads and then you're like turning pages as fast as you can, and that to me that is like your style, and you get us to know these characters so that by the time we hit the middle, we're like we can't turn the pages fast enough to find out what's going to happen. And I don't even know how to say this girl's name, so I'm going to let you say it because I'm sure it's going to sound way cooler with you saying it than me saying it, the main character.
Oh, she's Ailsa. It's a Scottish name. I mean, this book is very much a part of me expressing my love for the landscape that I grew up in. It's set in Scotland. It's set in the Highlands, and it couldn't really be set anywhere else. And I think setting for me is a really big part of it. And we talked before also about how important to me characterization is, and that the characters all follow a believable arc within the story. It's great for me to hear that you got really drawn into the characters. That's just lovely, because that's actually what I'm aiming to do, to have the readers connect with these people as the real people that they are to me, living in my head.
Yes. And I love how you said that, because in my head as I'm reading it and they bring up her name, I was like, I kept pronouncing it different. I was like, Elsa? Elsa. Elsa. I just kept going back and forth, and I'm like, I can't wait to hear, because I feel like it's going to become a popular name. It should be a popular name, okay? Is it popular in Scotland?
Yeah, it is quite popular. I mean, there's quite a number of names in Scotland that are spelled in really interesting ways and sound nothing like what they're pretty close to what you might guess. But there's a name in Scotland which is Rory, and it basically looks like an unsolved anagram, and you can't expect anyone to work out how to pronounce that. So I tried to shy away from that.
Yeah, and but don't people love that when they have a name that it doesn't look like? I mean, that's like a thing. People like that when they can't tell what it's gonna be. And then they're like, I wonder how that's spelled. But anyway, let's talk about the beginning. We start with you describing The Missing Years is about her father. We're not going to give a lot away here. I'm just going to stick to the beginning. So we know that her father has been missing, okay? And when I open it up and I start reading this, I'm like, oh, is that what happened? But then you find out in between every chapter, you give different scenarios because nobody does know what happened. And I love that part so much. And then this morning I went on Amazon and I saw everybody was saying the same thing as me. What a cool thing to put in between it. Kept us going. Oh, I wonder what happened. Oh, maybe it was that. And then it kind of went with the chapter. I thought that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, thank you. I mean, for me, I suppose an enormous part of who Elsa is as a person and what she knows or doesn't know about herself or recognizes about herself is due to her father having not been present. And we all build stories around the things that we can't explain or understand in our lives, and those stories are very different depending on who you are at that moment. The stories she would have told herself at age 10 versus the stories she would have told herself at age 20 are very different. And I wanted to bring in that aspect of things, all these different lives she was imagining for the man who just wasn't there in her life.
Oh, it was brilliant. So she inherits, her mom dies, okay, and she inherits the mansion. But you say it, how do you say it?
Yeah.
It's manse?
A manse is it's a big old house in Scotland, and it's often associated with the church. It's like the minister's home often.
Oh, that's very cool. Okay, so she inherits it, but she only inherits half. okay, because her dad inherits the other half, and or is part. Well, he's half owner basically, and since he's not, they don't know what happened to him. But okay, the very first, I love these two lines. I loved. It was your very first line says, "The manse is watching me," and I love short first lines like that get you like, what? The what? Hold on, what are we talking about? Like, right away I was like, oh my God, that's so brilliant. And then the last line of the first chapter, which is also another one of my favorite lines, is there's a man in the hallway.
Yes.
Okay, so, we were thinking the only people in that house are her and her sister, and now there's a man in the hallway. And of course, I'm right away, I'm like, is it a ghost? Is it a ghost? Is it a real man in the hallway? So, but that's how this story goes. You just don't know. You don't know reality, and you don't know what is going on, and that's what we love about it, too.
Well, and also I think the first line with her saying the manse is watching me, I think that brings in something very fundamental about the book, which is that the building itself is really another character in the book. And, it's based on a number of different old houses that I grew up around. I didn't live in anything so grand as that, but, there were houses nearby that I always looked at and thought, ooh, wonder what it'd be like to live there, or wonder who does live there. And, and these then, for someone like me, make me think of different storylines for whoever could be in there. And the house itself, it's back to that point about setting. It's so important to the setting, and it's so important to how that story unfolds.
Yes. I did live in a big house one time for about 5 years, where I have 6 children. We bought this big old house, 100-year-old house, right? And when the kids, because it was so big, story-wise, there were 4 stories, but when they would get stuck in a part of the house and nobody could hear them, they would freak out, like, because it was so big, and it's almost like when you're in a big house, you think your voice is going to carry, but when it's brick, like, your voice doesn't carry. So it is. So they would be.
It doesn't.
Yeah, they would be like yelling, "Mom, Mom!" And if I'm not on that level, like, I couldn't hear them, and they had to get used to the house because it was like this thing. It was like this big thing, and so I do understand. When I was reading it, I was like, oh, I do kind of get that, but I do understand that the house was a character because we had to get used to the house. You know what I mean? Like, when you're
definitely. I think every house that you live in does kind of, you have to learn how it lives and how it breathes, and the noises that it makes and how it feels at different times of day. And you can tell as you come into a house if there's somebody else in there without hearing a sound. You just know that there is another presence in it, and I find that quite fascinating as well.
Yes, the energy is. So tell me, before I let you go, tell me about these sisters, because they are interesting. And I don't have a sister. I raise sisters because my daughters. Yeah. But I love the sisters. I love the dynamic of them. They did not get raised together for their whole childhood, so they're kind of trying to get to know each other as adults. And what did you love about them?
Well, I think that they're both trying to navigate a way back to each other, but they don't really understand the landscape between them. It looks different from their differing points of view, and I think it's interesting that often we assume that siblings growing up together have a shared experience, but in fact their experience can be very different. I think my sister's experience of her relationship with our parents was very different to my experience, and I was looking for a way to explore that, and the best way perhaps to explore it is to have sisters who have been somewhat estranged, and then having to learn to know each other as adults, and also to unpick what went on between them when they were younger. And so if you put them together in an interesting place like the manse, then you can really see, what would come from that.
Yes. And I know, like I said, I have 6 children, right? And, watching them become adults now and watching those relationships as opposed to when they were children. My daughters are 4 years apart, and they did experience completely different childhoods. And, and as the mom, you're like trying to explain it to them,
Yeah.
So
I think it's a popular misconception. People say, oh, you grew up together, you have the same. No, we don't have the same experience at all. I mean, a really big part of my teenage years, my sister wasn't there. She was off at university, and it was just me and my parents. So that's very different from me. For me, in my teenage years versus her formative teenage years, I was always there because I was the younger one. So, you just. I think as an adult, when you look back on things, you maybe have a little bit more perspective, and you have a chance to work through these things a little better, and also to move forward, find a way to have a different relationship with someone.
Exactly. I loved it. What an amazing story. I love your storytelling, Lexie. I really do. I do. So are you working on it, before I let you go or we get disconnected or anything? What are you working? I know, I'm afraid it's just going to cut me off. What are you working on now? Because this book just came out. I wrote down, has it been out a week now? Yes. Right?
It came out in April in the States.
I was going to say, wait a second. I wrote down 5/23, but it came out 4/23 in the States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's coming out in the UK 6th of June, so next week. And I'm working on book 3, How to Kill Your Best Friend. So I'm working on that right now, and you should have seen my best friend's expression when I told her the title of that book.
Yeah.
That was
She's
quite
like,
funny.
Me?
But I'll be delivering first draft of that at the end of the year, so that'll be out next year at some point. So yeah, hard at work.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. And this book, I love The French Girl, but like this one, I loved even more. And I'm like, you're hitting your stride, a book a year. They're just going to keep getting better and better. And I am so happy for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And you know where to find me for next year, because I want to read it, and I'll read it early. So.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to speak.
Yes. Show everybody the cover one more time. Everybody, I'm going to put the links, IndieBound link below so you can go to your local bookstore. I will also put the Amazon link. You can get it on Amazon today if you want to read it today. Love the colors so much. And we will talk again when your next one comes out, okay?
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Take
have
care.
a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.